This is the Rottgen Pietà, and this is a small statue that was created in the around the year 1325. It's actually about 3 feet tall. So to give you an idea, that's about the size of a 2 year old, probably a young 2 year old. So it's made out of wood, and it was painted. And this first, we need to talk about what a pietà is. A pietà is another name for a scene in the life of Christ, and that this scene is when, after her son has died on the cross, after he was crucified, it is her holding or cradling her dead son's body, who, remember, should be about 30 at the time of his death. So it's her holding her dead son at after he is crucified, not yet knowing that he is going to, according to the Christian religion, rise 3 days later and become part of the Holy Trinity. So this is a very gruesome depiction of a pietà. And the pietà was actually a fairly popular theme in this region of modern day Germany today. And it's a way for the reason why it's popular is because it is something that a human emotion, everyone can easily imagine themselves in her place. And in the Middle Ages or in the medieval period, that is definitely something that a person would have felt. The loss of a child was very common. Remember, most children didn't live past the age of 5. And so you definitely see, that would have definitely they could have related to the anguish that was on this mother's face. So taking away from the fact that you have two very important characters in the Christian religion, if you just put it as a mother with her dead son, regardless of his age, anybody can relate to it. And so that's something that makes this a very powerful image. To give you a different idea, before I go back into details, I want to show you guys probably the most famous Pietà. And this is Michelangelo's Pietà. And this is in the Vatican right now, and it is sculpted in marble. And this is going to be, this is about 100 years after the Rottgen Pietà. But you can see the difference in this Pietà versus the one that you need to know for this test. First of all, you can see here that Mary looks very, very young. Let me show you her face right here. Look how young she looks. She looks like maybe, I don't know, 20, even though she was obviously much older at the death of her son. And then here is a more close-up view of Jesus right here as Michelangelo depicts him. Notice he has musculature. It even looks like he has a small beard here. I mean, you could see the sternum, and you see her hands and the drapery and the hair. And so this view of a pietà is something that is when someone in the Christian religion thinks of a pietà figure, this is what they see. But this one is very different. And that's because it looks gruesome. It's a gruesome example of what a pietà is. And it really would have, in this 14th century, in the 1300s, people were very used to suffering as a way of life. And that could be because there was famine, wars, the plague. And so in Gothic art, we usually see art that is really reflective of either ecstatic joy or extreme suffering. So this image in particular, we see anguish on Mary's face. She is horrified by the ordeal of crucifixion, and Jesus looks emaciated. He looks like all of his blood has run out, and even if you look closely at his arms, you could see this was like blood that's coming out, and that's supposed to represent like the part of the ritual that happens in Catholic religion where you get the the blood of Christ. And that's where you drink the wine, the transubstantiation that happens in the liturgy. So this is where you could see that. But look how emaciated his body looks. Look out, his arms are thin. You can see his ribs, and it looks like he has lived a life of suffering, not just from the crucifixion, but prior to that as well. Also, you can really see the damage done to the feet and the hands as he was nailed to the cross here. And then you see the halo of thorns that he's wearing, and then just the bend of his neck shows, just the death that is happening here. This is considered a devotional object, and it's these images. This is probably the most gruesome example, but there were a lot of Pietà images in this region, and it's known as an andax builder, ANDACHTSBILDER, in Germany, and it is supposed to inspire worshipers to contemplate Jesus's first and last hours, especially during their evening prayers. Evening prayers were known as vespers, and that gave rise to the term vesper build to be applied to the image of Mary mourning her son. And then through such exercises, worshipers hope to achieve an understanding of the divine and the union with God. So this is a very well-known example. So blood gushes from the hideous rosettes that are on the wounds of the emaciated and lifeless Jesus. Mary is hunched over. Her face conveys the intensity of the ordeal, the mingling horror, shock, and most of all, grief. And such images took on increased effectiveness in the worshippers' minds, as they would have compared this image with the image of the nativity of Mary holding her newborn baby Jesus, not knowing what his fate was going to be. So this is supposed to be a devotional object that is supposed to it was intended to be a focal point for contemplation and prayer. Yes, it's horrific, but its intent is to show that Mary and God are sympathetic to human suffering and pain, and because they lived it. And so because they lived it, if you pray to Mary and pray to Jesus, then they may intercede on your behalf, depending on how devoted you are. And so this is a good example of a Gothic sculpture, and it is made out of wood, so it's carved wood, and it would have been originally painted. And so this is the Rottgen Pietà. It's different from other images of Mary that are in more of the medieval period that shows the hip shot of her standing, and it's definitely different than what we're going to see when we hit the Renaissance with Michelangelo's version of this scene. Okay, that's the Pietà.